All right, guys, so today I'm talking about nutrition, metabolism, metabolic conditioning, and what it is, what it really does for you, how to fuel your body, long-term adherence, all that stuff. All right, why I use the nutrition I do. So I could, like I've said in the past, I could fill up this whole board with different kind of diets and nutrition. It's not what I'm here to do today. I'm just talking about the way that I do it, the way that I teach people to do it. And the main reason on why I do it and why I teach this way is adherence. So I'm trying to figure out something that we can do long term that people can adhere to, and how they can take breaks in it to keep that adherence. Or if they have events coming up, how they can use their nutrition to fuel their body in the proper way and still go to those events, say like birthday parties and stuff like that. There's cake there, and or however it is, those once in a while events. Get through the holidays. There's a lot of events through the holidays, and how to calculate that to also add performance in the gym, and to also I would say program their workouts to follow their nutrition to advance or progress their capacity in the gym, or their volume in the gym. You could say volume, capacity, they're similar. But anyway, we're gonna get into this. So what I use is macros. There's a lot of people like clean eating and eating really nutritious food, and yes, that's good. It'll make you feel better, but it doesn't change body composition rapidly. So you can eat pretty crappy food or pretty non-nutritious food, or the best food ever, and still change your body composition by using macros versus eating clean all the time, because you're not always going to eat clean. There's going to be situations that you just aren't going to. So yes, you can choose to, and you'll feel better and you'll be healthier eating the good food. But when you don't have the chance to eat the good food, you're not using it as an excuse to eat bad food all the time and still change your body composition. So what we're doing here is macros. So I'm going to teach you how to calculate macros first. So how we calculate them, we're going to take the weight of the person. This is how I do it. Everybody does it different. This is just how I do it. It works. I do it for clients and stuff, and it works. Okay, so you take your weight, you take your body fat percentage, you subtract your body fat percentage off of your normal weight, and that is the lean body mass that we're going to use, or your lean weight. So, for example, a 200-pound person, 20% body fat, we're going to go off of a 180-pound person. All right. So now we have the weight calculated. You can get one of those handheld things. A lot of this might be a calculated guesstimate, and that's fine. But we need to start. You could have the best plan in the world, and you don't start it, it's not going to work. So you got to start it, and you got to adhere to it. All right, so now that we have the 180-pound person, we're going to get the calories, because you want an even amount of calories are going to be your energy input. Okay, so we're going to try and get calories now. So first, you're going to take that 180-pound person times 10. That's going to be your deficit calories. So when you're really trying to deplete the body, you can deplete it for a bunch of different things. You can deplete it for sensitivity. If you have something coming up and you want to make your body really sensitive to glycogen or food, you can deplete different ways to create better metabolic pathways. Anyway, so calories. Let me stay on track. I'll get to all the metabolic stuff soon. Calories. So you can take it by 10, so that's 1,800 calories. That's your deficit. And then you can take it times 12 or 13, say 12. It's going to be 2,160 calories. And then your surplus, you can take that time your weight times 15, and that's going to be your surplus, which here is going to be 2,700. Now, as your metabolism speeds up, these numbers could change. Like you might be able to go off a 190-pound person or something like that. You just want these numbers to make sure it's calculated so you can calculate everything. Energy in, energy going out. How do you have more intensity going out when you're not putting as much intensity in? All right. So macros, macronutrients, there's a difference between macronutrients and micronutrients. Macronutrients are going to be your proteins, your fats, and your carbs. Micronutrients are going to be your vitamins and minerals like zinc, magnesium, iron, and vitamin A, vitamin B, K, all that stuff. So, all right, with our macronutrients, a protein, 1 gram of protein is going to equal 4 calories. Same thing with carbs. With fats, 1 gram of fat equals 9 calories. So that's how we're going to calculate our calories into how many grams we should be getting in. All right, so for our deficit calories, that makes 1,800, right? So we're going to go just above 1 gram per pound of body weight for our deficit. So we're going to hold that muscle on the body. And when we're in a deficit, one of the things that we want to do is try and drain the glycogen so then our body tries to break down that body fat and use it as energy. So we're going to take 190 grams. The fats and the proteins are usually going to be set, and then you're really just calculating the carbs to figure out the rest. So 1 gram per pound, you can go anywhere from 0.8 grams per pound of lean body mass up to 1.2 grams per pound of lean body mass. And I say that it's not that you necessarily get way too much protein. It's just when you get more protein, that's your carbs are going to suffer. You're gonna and carbs are delicious. I would say I want those in there. If you cut carbs out completely and you put these macros somewhere else, then we get into some thyroid issues where your thyroid makes T3, and when you don't have some good glycogen levels, or it doesn't see that blood sugar coming in where your insulin goes up, it can, I'm not saying it will, but depending on genetics, in most cases it can make reverse T3 or slow the thyroid down, which we're going to get to later. So we do want to keep some carbs in. So if we jack this protein up to 300 grams, that means that your fats and your carbs are going to have to be lower to meet this caloric deficit. So 50 grams of fats. Fats keep a lot of hormones in check, so you don't want to drop those way down like 30, 35 or below. We want to keep those a little bit higher. So 50 grams of fat. So let me regress here. With my 190 grams of protein, to keep the muscle on the body, 190 grams of protein per day, we're going to take 190 times 4, and we're going to get our calories. So that equals 760 calories. Now our fats, 50 grams of fat times 9 is going to be 450 calories. Okay, so we add those together to 1,210 calories. We're going to take that 1,210 calories and we're going to subtract it from 1,800, and that gives us 590 calories. Okay, now this 590 calories is what we're going to have in carbohydrates. So we have 590 calories of carbohydrates. So we take that divided by 4 and you get 148 grams of carbs per day, right? So you have 760 calories coming in for your protein, 450 calories of your day is fat, and 590 calories of your day is carbohydrates. You took those calories, divide them by the numbers that they need to be divided by, and you get your grams per day. So every day you will intake 190 grams of protein, 50 grams of fat, and 148, you could round up if you want to, grams of carbs. Now, this really works on sometimes a guesstimate system. Like, say you go into a restaurant and you want to eat, right? You put the burger in, And most of the time, like I use MyFitnessPal, you can type in, just go to the general on Applebee's or something like that. You can type in Applebee's, pull up their whole menu, and choose what you have. Now, say you put fries on there, and on the MyFitnessPal, it's, one serving would be 3 ounces, and say they put 4 ounces on your deal. For the general American that's just going out and doing this and trying to lose weight, that guesstimation is okay. You don't want to guesstimate all the time. A lot of the times you want to weigh it out, but the guesstimation will still get you there. All right, so this is for your deficit, okay? So most of the time when you want to lose weight, lose body fat, break down that body fat that's on your body, you will try and stay in these deficit macros. All right, now we have maintenance macros. You're gonna figure out your maintenance macros off these calories. You're gonna figure out your maintenance macros the same way. Now, as your calories come up, you're gonna hold muscle on the body easier so you can drop the protein down to 1 gram per pound of lean body mass. Just so you can get more carbs, which will be a better source of energy to help you progress, and more fats in. And then even on your surplus, you could drop your protein down a little bit lower to like 0.8 grams per pound. But I left it at 1 gram per pound. All right, so you're gonna calculate your maintenance macros, and then you're gonna calculate your surplus macros, okay? Now, this way of dieting is all going to go into what workouts you're doing, or AKA metabolic conditioning. Me personally, I don't count meals. Sometimes I have 2 meals. Some days I have 1 meal that gets all my macros in. Some days I have 6 meals. It just depends on my day and how I run my day. For me, and what I tell most of the clients, especially for adherence, is you get your macros in however you can, whatever times you can, and really try and stay within 5% of your macros, okay? So 5% of these numbers. All right. So this way of dieting will work in correlation with the way that I teach for workouts or metabolic conditioning. And the way you cycle through your deficit, your maintenance, and your surplus calories are going to work in with what we're doing with our metabolic conditioning and how we're conditioning the metabolism. All right, so let's get right into this, and then you'll see how they mix together. So, metabolic conditioning, there are 3 different pathways for the metabolism. Okay, this is my way of explaining it. So if you have a different way, come talk to me. I love to learn. I love to ask or answer questions. So this is the way that this nutrition thing works for me and my clients. Okay, so 3 different pathways from metabolism. All right, you have your phosphogenic pathway, you have your glycolic pathway, and you have your oxidative pathway, right? Or your aerobic pathway, as some would say. So, the phosphogenic system, how it pulls energy. So, we'll go to what is a metabolism. Some people just say, oh, well, they have a fast metabolism, so they're losing weight. Well, actually, they could just have one pathway of their metabolism sped up, or they could have different hormone levels. They could have a more sensitive pancreas, which would create more insulin. There's so many different factors to why somebody can eat a bunch of food and stay skinny. Some people just naturally eat a good balance of macronutrients, okay? But if you want to get there and you want to gain performance and gain a better look, you do have to focus on conditioning the metabolism. You can't just say, oh, my metabolism is slow because of my genetics or whatever. You can speed that up. So 3 different parts of metabolism. You don't want to speed just one way up and leave the other one dumped and crash, because you'll lose weight for a little while and then it will halt and you will regress the other way. Same thing with nutrition. If you try and outwork your bad diet, you can speed up your metabolism, you will progress, and eventually you will start to regress because your body will figure out that you're not giving consistent nutrients into the body and it will start to downgrade, okay? Or downregulate. So, the thing that your body needs kept on is your brain, your heart, your lungs, your organs. It does not necessarily need the muscle that's on your body or huge amounts of it. It can downregulate performance, and so progress until your body figures it out that you're not watching your nutrient intake, and it will regress. All right, phosphogenic pathway is like your max loading for very, very short amounts of time. So if you say 30 seconds to maybe 1 minute, maximum loading. So this would be like a 40 sprint, maximum 40 sprint. This would be like a maximum effort squat, maximum effort deadlift. You get the gist. 100%, very, very short, all out. You get enough rest to completely recover. It's going to be about 2 to 5 minutes of rest, and then push all out again for 30 seconds or so. Short bursts. Some say 3 to 8 seconds. Okay? Of a short burst. All right. So the next metabolic pathway is going to be the glycolic pathway. This is going to use glycolysis. Okay? So it's going to use blood sugar. This is going to work over a moderate work time, over 30 seconds to about 3 minutes, with a moderate active rest time, meaning, so say you go and you do 30, 40 air squats, and then you walk around, or you're stretching, or you're moving, or you're doing something, or you could do air squats in your legs, and then you could do some presses up above head, so you're resting your legs as you're using a different muscle group. That is an active rest. The first one would be more of a passive rest, where you do a squat, maximum load, and then sit down. That would be your phosphogenic. Your glycolic is constantly moving, but you still put about 70 to 80% of your effort through a little bit longer period of time. And then you have your aerobic, or your oxidative pathway, okay? So your oxidative pathway is going to be like, 35, 40 minutes and longer. Okay, so this is going to be like, a marathon runner, or a half marathon runner. You could run, 6 miles or something like that, and that's going to be your oxidative pathway. You could, do a bunch of air squats and wall balls and cleans and thrusters at 40% of your maximum output over the course of 45, 50 minutes, okay? So that is going to be your oxidative pathway. So when you're doing those exercises, so say you are doing max lifts and you're just doing 3x5s, three reps, 5 sets, really, really heavy weight, you're gonna speed up that phosphogenic pathway. So you're doing interval training, you're going to speed up your phosphogenic pathway, and that is the pathway you're going to speed up. So you're doing interval training or circuit training, rounds of something. Then you're going to speed up your glycolic pathway. Okay, so you pick 6 different exercises and you run through them for 4 different sets, right? 4 sets of, say, 10 reps on the 6 different exercises. So you're doing that passive rest on one muscle where you're actively you're doing an active rest on one muscle where you're actively using a different muscle, and then you come back to it, you're doing that circuit training now. That is that metabolic pathway. All right, your oxidative metabolic pathway. Now say we go on a run, like I said, a long run, or like a 10-mile bike ride or something like that. That right there is, say it's 40% of your output. Not sprint for a mile and walk for a mile, sprint for a mile, walk for a mile, that's not going to be your oxidative pathway. It's going to be about 40% or less of your output over a long duration of time, okay? It's your oxidative pathway. That will speed up your oxidative pathway and not your phosphogenic pathway, okay? So, what we need to do is overall program, to speed these metabolic pathways up. You know, you can do it individually, but make sure you're getting enough volume on each one so that your whole metabolism is sped up. Okay, so you're trying to speed up the whole metabolism, not just one part. All right, so now let's get into what these parts of the metabolism absorb. So, when you metabolize food, that means you're absorbing food. So when you say somebody has a higher metabolism, that means they're absorbing higher amounts of the food that they eat into usable energy, okay? Usable energy. So readily available. So I wouldn't necessarily say they're absorbing it into fat, okay? So when you're speeding up the metabolic pathway, the phosphogenic metabolic pathway, so what it does in your body, you have in your body ATP, it's a triphosphate. When you use the muscle, it breaks down that triphosphate because the triphosphate is being used as energy, okay? So, say the phosphogenic pathway, okay? Now, we get into the use of ATP in the phosphogenic pathway, right? Is very, very, very high. So we're doing those huge lifts, like a lot of weight in a short amount of time. It's using a lot of ATP. It's using a lot of the muscle's energy to contract the muscle. So ATP does. It's energy that helps you contract the muscle. Okay? So it has a very, very high usage of ATP. But it very, very slowly replenishes that ATP. All right? So the phosphogenic pathway, it pulls a lot of the ATP out of your body, it pulls a lot of that energy, but it doesn't speed up the part of the metabolism, part of your body that replenishes that ATP, okay? So there's a couple different things that ATP that this is, right? So also, you have lactate in your body, lactate, right? So lactic acid builds up in your body, so when you're using a muscle, you have the lactic acid builds up. I'm just gonna say that. Okay, so lactic acid buildup, right? And you have lactic acid replenishment. Okay, so if you're using a lot of ATP, it's going to build up a lot of lactic acid in your body. Now, over here on the other side, if you're not breaking down ATP for energy at a if you're not replenishing, I regress. If you're not replenishing ATP in your body at a rapid rate, that means that metabolic pathway will actually wash out a lot of that lactic acid, which I'll get into once I get into the oxidative pathway. So your phosphogenic pathway uses a lot of ATP. That metabolic pathway doesn't metabolize food incredibly fast to replace replenishment of ATP. It uses it, but that metabolic pathway doesn't necessarily replenish at all the ATP in your body, okay, to gain strength. So that is going to feed off of phosphates and proteins, okay? So that's why your protein is there, build muscle, phosphogenic. Okay, now we have the glycolic pathway. It uses quite a bit of ATP, but it also does replenish the ATP slightly. It has an average lactic acid buildup, but it washes out lactic acid moderately. So that soreness that you get after the DOMS, the delayed onset muscle soreness, it washes that out moderately. But this metabolic pathway here is going to eat up glycogen. Glycolic goes through glycolysis, right? Glycogen, blood sugar, carbs, right? So that's where your carbs are getting eaten up, is that metabolic pathway right there. All right. And then the last one, aerobic or oxidative pathway. This one's going to eat up a lot of oxygen-binding proteins. It's going to, well, so not necessarily protein, but this one's going to more so be the fat on your body. So it's going to be the intramuscular fat, a little bit of liver glycogen, adipose fat, so that's going to be the fat in between your muscle and your skin, like the belly fat, arm fat, that kind of stuff. So that oxidative pathway is going to feed off of mostly the fat on your body. Okay? So that's how you speed up your metabolism as a whole. Heavy weights. You have to have heavy, you should have heavier weights. Time under tension, so more reps. And then also adding in those longer runs or longer workouts. All right? So, now, how you get rid of lactic acid. Okay, so, say I hit a workout, really heavy workout, and I hit this phosphogenic pathway, right? How I would put together somewhat of a program is I have these heavy workouts here, getting lactic acid buildup, need to flush that lactic acid out so I can hit more heavy workouts. Then I need to do some more of this right here, this oxidative pathway training, this oxidative pathway metabolic conditioning. So I'm conditioning the metabolism to speed up in different ways to absorb my food, inusable energy, and heal my body properly. You want your body to heal properly, okay? So if you just do phosphogenic stuff, you're going to seem like you're always sore. If you don't want to be always sore, then you can flush that glycogen out, and there's many different ways to do that, but we won't get into that today. I'm just trying to, kind of like a 101, teach you how to somewhat do some volume for yourself, kind of put together a program for yourself, or see what programs are good when you do look at them, and how to feed your body to progress and not just getting leaner and getting to a good body composition, but also progressing in strength and endurance and mobility and all that good stuff. All right. So, how you use or utilize the training of each metabolic pathway and how it's going to soak up the food that you eat is going to determine on when you deplete and when you refeed, okay? So, say I want to deplete, right? I want to deplete my glycogen stores so then I can get into this aerobic, or this oxidative pathway and burn up some fat. So my programming throughout the week should, if I'm doing a depletion, it's going to be a lot of glycolysis to drain the glycogen down, so there's not very much glycogen, and then I'm going to start adding in a lot of the oxidative work to start eating away at the fat. Now when you get so drained to where you feel like you don't have enough energy, then you can start replenishing those stores by bringing your macronutrients up, so going to more of a maintenance level. If you're trying to lose weight, I wouldn't necessarily go into a surplus level, okay? So the surplus level is either going to be when you're really trying to gain strength rapidly. How I use it to stay lean, because you're gonna gain strength off maintenance level calories. So these surplus level calories are going to be if you have two types of events coming up. Say you're competing in a performance event, so you need more energy, you're going to go into your surplus. So then you have more energy for your performance event, and you perform better, but it's calculated, so you know. The other type of event that this surplus is going to come up is like a birthday party, a wedding, something like that, to where there's going to be more calories around that are consumable. Now, if you can stay in a maintenance caloric range, then stay in a maintenance caloric range. But if you feel that you can go up because you're depleted too, then you can go into that surplus. I hope this is making sense. I kind of went on a couple different rants. But anyway, so I hope you can see how your metabolic conditioning and speeding up the different pathways of your metabolism in correlation with your nutrition is going to help you get to a better body composition and gain performance. Now, if the scale's not moving and your performance is not moving, then you always need to go back to your nutrition. It's all a numbers game, okay? So, phosphogenic, if your 1 rep maxes aren't going up, right? 1 rep maxes aren't going up, you look at your nutrition to see where. See if you have enough protein, see if you have enough energy. If your endurance, say you do a workout like Fran, if your muscular, I would say muscular endurance workouts are not getting better, then you should look at your nutrition and see what part of your nutrition this metabolic pathway targets, and maybe add a little bit more if you're looking at the performance aspect and adding performance. Your oxidative pathway, okay? Your oxidative pathway. If your long run times are not getting better, look at your nutrition, how many calories you're getting in. Also, you can look at how much metabolic conditioning you're doing on these other portions, and maybe you're getting a huge lactic acid buildup and it's just too much lactic acid buildup for that other pathway to flush that out, okay? So, a lot of the times it's going to go back to the nutrition, how you calculate your macros, figuring out your body and what you're capable of. So for me, I go off of a 190 pound person, and right now I'm about 165 pounds, okay? So, off of that 190 pound person, my maxes, the max effort things that I do are a lot higher. I have a higher power output than some 160 pound people. And the reason that is because I have conditioned my metabolism to speed up, absorb more food, so my body has more energy for those things, okay? So, any questions, comment, any concerns, comment. Let me know how you do your macros. Let me know what diet you're on and if it could affect your performance. For example, just clean eating. If your run times aren't getting better, just say your metabolic conditioning or your workouts aren't progressing, or you're not losing body fat, and you're just eating healthy food or eating healthy, maybe go to a more calculated way of doing things. This would be a more calculated way of doing things. If it's working for you, that's great. If you have good genetics and you just happen to be where you want to be, that's awesome. If you have questions, ask. Okay? This is just a general overview. Okay. In saying that, another little mini rant. This is a general overview of the metabolism and macros. You can get into all those people biohacking, like I said at the beginning, micronutrients versus macronutrients. Yes, micronutrients do matter to a point. Micronutrients do matter to a point. Like say, I could put cinnamon on there, on my food, okay? So, you're not using cinnamon. Cinnamon causes insulin sensitivity. So you're going to have more insulin sensitivity and you're going to get more glycogen in the muscle. You're going to have more energy, blah, 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 blah. Okay? Yes, that can happen. But for adherence over a long duration of time, this is what works. Same thing with keto diets. Cutting all of your carbs out, right? Taking all the carbs out. So you're getting protein and fats, okay? Yes, it does work for a period of time, but is that sustainable for the rest of your life? Is that going to bring your metabolic rates up, or is it going to bring it down? No, it will, this glycolysis right here, okay? So if you're doing a keto diet, you have no carbs, you have nothing for this metabolic pathway to feed off of, and so it could, I'm not going to say it will, but it could crash that part of your metabolism, and you need to restart that up. So going into post-keto diet, and you start adding those carbs back in because it is not a long-term sustainable adherative diet, you bring those carbohydrates back in, that portion of your metabolism is slowed down, and you start gaining weight back. Not good. So, adherence, a diet that you can adhere to. That's why these surplus macros are in there. 326 grams of carbs. Your carbs go from your deficit macros to your surplus macros go way up in the air. Okay? So, this is something that you can adhere to over a long period of time. This is something that won't ruin your metabolism. So say you go on vacation for 2 weeks and you don't want to diet, your metabolism is still racing, so you won't lose a lot of your strength gains, you won't lose a lot of your endurance gains, you won't lose these things. Plus, since you've been doing these, your body automatically starts craving those foods. That ratio of foods, I would say. Okay? So, adherence. Also, this is 101, and the reason why is because when we dive into this metabolism stuff, there's a lot more that goes into the metabolism, and eating up ATP and creating lactic acid and replenishing ATP and flushing lactic acid. There's more to that than just what's on this board. You have different hormones in your body that can determine. So as you raise one metabolic pathway and it starts absorbing that food for usable energy, what changes in your body that you can change your macronutrients around? Okay, so there's more to it than this. So this is a 101 to get started. Also to see what you're lacking in your programming. So if you don't have a lot of muscle on your body and you do a lot of endurance training but you want muscle on your body, that doesn't mean you need to tank the endurance training completely out and just do weightlifting. That means that you need a better rounded metabolic conditioning. Also, when somebody says, "Oh, I'm skinny, I've tried to gain muscle, I've tried to gain strength, and it never worked," one of the things that needs to be understood is that you need to wait until it takes time to condition your phosphogenic pathway, your glycolic pathway. It takes time to condition those to speed up, to start to gain strength, to start to gain muscle, okay? Same thing with your oxidative pathway. Sometimes you need to bring your phosphogenic metabolic conditioning, your glycolic metabolic conditioning down. You need to bring that volume down and add that time spent to your oxidative training to overload. Sorry, our tornado testing sirens are going off. But you need to overload that one metabolic pathway maybe just a little bit to speed it up. Once it's sped up, then you can take that time spent and you can bring that volume into different areas. You can take the volume of your oxidative training out then you can put it in back into your phosphogenic training or your glycolic training. I say glycolic training, but phosphogenic metabolic conditioning or glycolic metabolic conditioning. So, condition the metabolism to speed up. Fuel the body and how it needs to be fueled in a calculated, sustainable, adherative way, okay? Again, I know this is long. If you listen to the 101, that's awesome. I have explained this so many times. I'm glad I got most of it on video. If you are a seasoned athlete and you have already done this and you are stuck, just ask how you can change your volume to go fuel your body for your volume of the goal that you want. Ask questions on that. Or if you're fueling your body in a certain way that doesn't match up to your volume that you're putting in, and you can't seem to make your run times fast, like your 5-mile run times faster. You can't seem to gain weight on the bar. You can't seem to make your your short-term muscular endurance workouts better, you know? So, ask questions. This is 101. Understand this is 101. There's more to it than this. So, this is good to get started. If you're a seasoned athlete, you've already done this, then ask questions on how you can improve your performance and get better. All right.